Good morning, everyone. How are we all doing? So my name is Matt Osman. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Treat. We're a generative AI company that powers creative automation. So just a quick show of hands, who here has experimented with or seen the output of generative AI models like Stable Diffusion or Midjourney or DALL-E? You've played with them? Yeah, okay. What I want to kind of talk to you about today is the way that generative AI is going to really unlock the next wave of creative performance and how we're going to move beyond what I think is the tinkerer testing phase that we've been in over the past kind of few months. So first, just what is the magic of AI image generation? Broadly, and I mentioned a couple of tools just now, Midjourney and Stable Diffusion, what AI image generation allows you to do is describe something and then the computer will draw it for you, basically. It allows you to kind of speak into creation, and the only limiting factor becomes kind of imagination. So you can tell the computer, show me Elvis living on the moon. In fact, that is a real prompt with some real output from Midjourney in an illustrative art style, and it's able to produce that in kind of less than a second. So these image generation models are what's called kind of probabilistic. So they have a kind of randomness to them. So every time you hit generate, you get a new kind of result. And that actually makes it kind of great for brainstorming. But in order for it to be truly effective for marketers and designers, which is where we think the real unlock is going to be, you need to give the system like very, very clear objectives. So what Treat does is it does two things. One, it uncovers the design concepts that are driving performance, and it uses that to generate more images that we think are going to be high converting. So at the bottom here, these are actual output images from our model trained for apparel. These people aren't real. And what we've done is broken it into two steps. One is called creative analysis, or the creative audit tool. The other is AI image generation. So we search through a brand's images and any image that's been run by a brand on any ad network to identify what are the load-bearing kind of visual elements that are driving performance. It might be a specific kind of lighting. It might be someone's hair color. It might be the composition of an ad. And we use that to generate at scale as many new images you want to test in a production environment. So in our view, we're going to usher in this kind of new world of like data-driven creative, which we think is going to be particularly impactful post ATT and iOS 14.5. Creative is the new targeting. And so what we do is we combine first and third-party data, so demographic data, to generate high-performing creative. So you can go into Treat and say, what kind of images are going to resonate most with women 18 to 24, or with people in California, or people with a certain income range or a certain educational background? And what our model will do, it will use that to generate images that we think are going to be most likely to convert with that demographic group. And that can be pushed into any testing platform you want. So Meta and Google are the normal ones. So this is an example here of some real outputs. And as you can see, like they're pretty photorealistic. They look like they've been shot by a professional photographer. These took, less than a second to generate each one. So we believe that combining this kind of analysis, this creative auditing to understand what are the visual elements that are driving performance with the ability to create hyper-personalized creative at scale is going to lead to massively improved ad performance. So what we can do is we can not only pair visual elements with demographics, but also with outcomes. So we can tell you what kind of visual elements lead to an increase in CTR, or lower CPMs, or higher ROAS, or higher LTV, because we have access to order data. And I'll finally end with just a kind of a real-world example to bring this to life. So brands are currently running images driven by our kind of creative audit tool that are fully AI generated right now in the wild. This is a sort of a mini case study from a brand we work with called Four Sigmatic. It's a mushroom coffee company. It's great if you haven't tried it. So what our system did is it searched through every single image they'd ever run on every single platform. And it identified that images where the ingredients of the product were displayed next to the packaging massively outperformed. And also that a natural setting with kind of oranges and dark lighting also outperformed. And so without needing to involve anyone else on the team, although it was kind of subject to a design review, of course, it was able to produce these images here where you're kind of seeing the mushrooms next to the mushroom coffee. It's in this forest. It's got this kind of dark, moody forest lighting. Those are pushed into PMax. We saw a pretty large uptick in CTR and a decrease in CPC, and that's scaled now to be their highest performing campaign. So we think that the combination of these two things are really going to unlock the power of growth marketers and designers together to like massively increase the pace of experimentation and be able to, in the end state, hyper-personalize customer journeys. Because the cost of producing content is going asymptotically to zero. So the value of knowing what to produce in the first place is going to increase massively in the opposite direction. So that's where we sit. That's what we're building. Love to chat to you about it. My colleague DJ is here. We'll be around all day. Thank you very much.